The Knicks Nation special edition of Knicks Fan TV Live. This is the State of the Knicks Part 2. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CP the franchise here. Special guest, Jonathan Macri of the Knicks Film School. This is the Knicks Fan TV, Knicks Film School Megacast. And we're going to talk about the state of the Knicks, man. This is obviously not the season we were looking for. Lots of questions that need to be answered this offseason. So let's get into it, man. Call us up, 657-383-1509 is the number to call, or you can hit us up on the Knicks Fan TV Discord. Once again, salute to everybody in the chat. Knicks Fan TV Live, presented by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, enter promo code KFTV for 20% off, plus free shipping. Macri, how you feeling, man?
This isn't the season we were hoping for? You mean when before the year, I got the Spurs on TV playing the Wolves behind me, rooting for San Antonio for ping pong ball purposes. That's not what we were looking for this year.
We are back in tankathon mode, semi-tankathon mode, because yesterday, I was looking for a win yesterday.
So was I.
You know, I was looking for bragging rights in the Battle of New York. It looked good. I was surrounded by Nets fans too, man. It was an abomination last night in MSG. Surrounded by Nets fans. And, you know, I was able to talk. I was able to trash talk for a good, solid half. And then I was like, all right, KD and Kyrie are going through the motions, man. They're going to turn up the Jets in the second half. And
yes,
I'm not sure we can survive it. And, we hung in there for a little bit, but it just wasn't meant to be. I did a show with Kevin O'Connor in the Ringer.
Congratulations, brother. It was nice getting him on.
Appreciate it. And the last question he asked me was, how do I feel about the Knicks going forward, headed to the offseason? I said, I'm nervous, man, because there's just so, like I said, there's just so many questions that this team has, so many question marks, and I'm just not sure which direction we're going to head in this offseason. This is a pivotal offseason for this team, man. I truly believe it. And so let's start it off. Let's start with the coach, because multiple reports have confirmed that the Knicks are going to bring back Tom Thibodeau for year 3. A guy who's been, a topic that has really polarized his fan base, man. A lot of fans don't want this. They want to fire Tibbs. And every night, every game, as you hear it, I hear it. There's a lot of complaints about Tibbs, but you and I think, have been on the same page, I think, in terms of I'm okay with it. I would say this. I was on board. I was okay with bringing Tibbs back. But, elaborate on your position on this. How do you feel about Tibbs coming back for year 3?
Yeah, I mean, my thing with Tibbs I've had a few things with Tibbs, but one of them has always been like, look, the most important thing you could have as an organization, if you're going to be successful, is just a through line from the front office down to the head coach. And, I've said for a while, ever since reports first started trickling out, like, if the front office doesn't believe in Tibbs, or Tibbs isn't like following through on whatever they're saying in meetings, or if Tibbs is going rogue, like, get rid of him. That's not a healthy way to run an organization.
Yeah.
I, like a lot of people, I'm just as curious what Johnny Bryant or whoever it winds up being, I assume it would be Johnny Bryant, like, will do as a head coach someday. And let me be very clear, Tibbs has not done a great job this year. I don't think anyone, you look at some of the decisions he makes in terms of crunch time lineups and like the Alec Burks thing. He's not the most creative offensive coach in the world. Like, I think that's an understatement. How he handled the Kemba thing, Randle, how much responsibility does he hold? I guess for me, the reason I've kind of gotten this now reputation of being like the Tibbs apologist is because I guess it just has to do with what I value watching the game, and I've said this before on my show. I've watched so many, as I know you have, so many years where a team comes out, Knicks team comes out, and it's like, these guys don't know what they're doing. There is no plan to try to win this basketball game. There is no coherent, like, oh, these guys have been drilled, have had it drilled into them, like, this is what we're going to do to win this game, and then actually be able to execute it more often than not. Mm-hmm. And I guess I just appreciate the baseline of competence that we've gotten over the last couple of years, and I felt that deserves a voice to defend it. And then the only other thing I'll throw in is that everybody uniformly, even you whoever, want to see more of the young players, right? Why? Because when the young players go out on the floor, good things happen. Well, that's kind of rare in the NBA. Usually when a young player comes on the floor, it's like, okay, we're going to get through this part. And then when the veteran, not here.
Yeah.
Here, the kids come on and great things seem to happen. Like these guys, from the moment they step foot on the floor, it doesn't matter if they're first year, second year, third year player, they're contributing to winning. And I feel like it, when we hear the stuff about like Tibbs is not going to let guys on the floor unless they know X, Y, Z, all up and down, like it all factors in, to what makes these young players good. And like, would Obi Toppin be improving at the rate he is, or quickly, or whoever, if they had been just given, 200, 300, 500 more minutes along the way? Like, I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
But I think it's at least warrants a conversation more than it is being had, for all of Thibodeau's faults,
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I didn't think he did a particularly good job of integrating some of the younger players into this rotation early. And again, he seems like a guy who's not willing to have them go out there and take their lumps. Yeah. He wants to put these guys in certain packages, certain situations that he feels like is going to suit them well. But maybe, there's something to be said about just having them go out there and learning from experience. You look at, I took a look at Steve Kerr's soundbite earlier this season, just last week. And he talked about the fact that, Golden State, they were beset by injuries just like us, and he said, look, we're not done experimenting with rotations. We have to make sure that we focus on the player development of Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. We want to make sure that we get the right combination of youth and vets. And so I thought that was, a stark contrast to Tibbs' approach. Yeah. Which one is right? I'm not so sure.
You could even look at like Oklahoma City. Like Oklahoma City, from day one, there were no stakes for that team. Like there was no question about what they were doing. And yet they have had these kids go out there. They've had to bench a lot of these kids because they're doing too well, right?
Yeah.
And guys like Josh Giddey and what have you, and Lou Dort, and like they do a great job. And some organizations can do that, and the best organizations do that, where accountability is just kind of organic in the walls. We've never had that here, and it's a relatively new thing. And for me, like I guess I definitely appreciate what you're saying, because like anybody, I don't want to see Alec Burks play 37 minutes tonight.
And that's my guy. That's my guy. But I certainly don't.
And he's my guy too. I love him. But like he shouldn't be closing games, running high pick and roll against Kevin Durant. 3 minutes left in the game. No one wants. Alec Burks probably doesn't want that.
Yeah.
But it is not. I guess what I'm trying to get at is, it's not like there isn't a method to the madness. Is it the only method? No. Was the balance correct? Probably not. But I do think, to what you just said a minute ago, how do we feel about things going forward? The one thing that I think we all feel good about is the kids. And you could use that as a knock on Tibbs, but you could also use that as a credit to Tibbs. Depends on where you stand.
Depends on where you stand. And, a lot of fans would come at us and say, well, these guys only got in due to circumstance. Well, so did Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? I mean, sometimes these things happen, and I feel like whether it's Sims, his emergence, these things now force the front office to me to again tinker with this rotation. Yes. I think what these kids have shown, whether it's Grimes in his pre-injury performance, these kids now should force the front office's hand in terms of their evaluation of how things are going to look going forward. Now, what my primary free agent or off-season priority, they got to figure out what's going on with Julius, man. They have to figure out what's going on with number 30.
Did he unfollow you? Or?
That's what I'm hearing, man. I heard there was a whole social media purge today that
people
are looking into. So
That's the next Purge movie.
Yeah.
The Purge Julius edition.
Funnily enough, despite all of the issues that have occurred between me and this camp, I'm still not blocked. So I don't know. Maybe I still have not been blocked.
I got blocked years ago. Hi, Julius's camp.
On the Julius note, I feel like last week he kind of finally admitted to this strain with the fans. I mean, talk about that first. As a content creator, as a person of influence, you see what happened with the exchange with his significant other and myself. What do you think about that, man? Just a year later, the relationship with the fans is very strained.
Look, some people, like we just talked about it a minute ago, some people it's in their nature to be harder on the coach. It's in their nature to be harder on the front office. I'll admit it. It's in my nature to be harder on the player. And it's funny. I was just writing for tomorrow's newsletter. I'm still counting down the list of the top 75 Knicks ever. I have Melo at number 5. And the piece I wrote is essentially an apology because I was really hard on him in the last several years and had some hard feelings afterwards. And looking back, I'm like, man, it wasn't a great situation. And he may not have helped, he didn't cause that. And it's gotten me to think about Julius this year and like how much of it is his fault versus how much of it is him getting caught up in stuff. And I don't know that I have enough perspective yet because we're still kind of in it to really answer that question. What I will say is it really does become tougher for me personally to feel good about like, okay, this is still our guy. We can go forward with him as an organization. Just with the way he has gone about his business on the court and off the court this year. Yes, I understand he's frustrated and I understand there are valid reasons for his frustration. But at the same time, when it seems like everybody else around you is rowing in one direction and you're the guy who at least seems to be trying to row in the other direction, that's what I have the issue with. As far as like the thumbs down stuff, like that just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, I don't know. How did you feel about it when it happened?
Yeah, the thing that struck me was that we're in the middle of coming back in a game. They were losing the game on a run in the fourth quarter. So all the attention should have been on trying to win that game. But in the midst of that comeback, you address the crowd. And so that like really struck me like, wow, like this is really, really getting to him. Really got to him.
It's getting to him. And then, and I was talking to Fred Katz the other day. It's like, it just kind of comes down to the basketball. He hasn't been a good basketball player. Like in like the Melo years, to refer back to him, like you look at those teams he was on and the necessity for him to just generate offense from nothing. This wasn't that team. Like Julius didn't need to do that for this squad. This is a talented squad. Say what you want about Kemba and Fournier and like they had some talent, and yet he tried to take on his take his usual shot diet. It didn't work. Yeah. He did not hit enough shots. He was the lowest efficiency, high usage player in basketball. That's not an opinion. That's a fact.
Horrendous.
So what? And then when you add in the defense and then the others, it's so much. I'm not in ham. I'll borrow a line that has been used. I'm not in ham sandwich mode where it's just like get rid of him for anything. Right. I'm not there yet because that's poor asset management. But if there's a decent deal, I think it's time. That's my 2 cents.
If there is a deal, I would certainly look into it, right? Because I think it could be the best for both parties, right? I've said this in a couple of podcasts on Locked On as well. I'm just leery of selling low at this point and just taking whatever. To me, I'm looking future. I'm looking down the road. I just feel like he's still a talent. Are we selling too low and then hurting ourselves when it comes time to try to make that big splash? Right? Because
it depends what you're taking back, right?
It depends on what you're taking back. Because ideally, you're not trying to trade RJ, right?
No.
Or right? You're not trying to trade RJ, but we've seen it time and time again when these big trades or these players are out there and these big trades are there to be had. We don't have the package to offer.
No. And I think the interesting part about that is, and that's why, like, you know, people are asking, like, well, who are you rooting against in the playoffs? Or, like, do you want the Jazz to flame out in this? Like, we're not in the spot yet where we're making, or look, crazier things have happened. I don't think we're in the spot yet where we're ready to make the Donovan Mitchell trade or the Zion trade. I don't even know how to touch that one. But, like, you know when you're ready to do that. We're not there yet. And I think that's going to take a little bit more growth from some of the young players. But, like, generally in those situations, you want, well, one, you want your situation to be good. You want the star player to look at and be like, oh, I like how things are going there. And then the other part of it is you want whatever the salary is that you're sending back to be a salary that, like, most teams are gonna want.
Right. And
I guess the thing with Julius is, like, you know, the names that, like, I've written about this way, like, you know, could you get Gordon Hayward's contract for Julius? Yeah, probably. Yeah. Could you get Malcolm Brogdon? Like, I don't know. Someone's probably asking for a pick there. Like, these are the types of names. Are these, like, sexy and exciting names? No, they're not at all. But they're also names that I think other teams around the league would be like, okay, I'll take that player in this deal that's centered around picks and, you know, a young player or two. Whereas Julius right now, I just wonder how many teams around the league look at him and be like, yeah, I don't need that risk. I don't, you know, it's not that much money, but, like, do we really want to, like, what is he going to want to do? How much of the offense is he going to want? Some teams will want it, you know, it's just a matter of what are those teams willing to offer. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
The big, well, two question marks as it pertains to Julius staying here is, how do we help him? You know, for the 3 years.
Can he be helped?
Can he be helped? Right?
That's a legitimate question.
And how do you help him? For the 3 years that he's been here, okay, you had Mook Morris one time, and the two of them kind of shared the usage, and Mook was doing his thing, played at a high level. D Rose came in next year. Okay, that was good. But who is that guy? You know, they tried to bring in Fournier, they tried to bring in Kemba. Starting lineup was worse. Who is out there that we can bring in that can play with this guy, that can play off this guy, and that can make him better? We haven't had that yet, and I think that's a big problem.
So my issue there is, if you're under the assumption that RJ is not going anywhere and RJ is going to continue to be a high usage guy as long as he's here, which I'm under both of those assumptions, then either Julius becomes the number 3 man on the totem pole here. I don't think for a second anybody thinks he will ever accept that role here.
There you go.
In this city. So then it's like, okay, how do you make Julius function as one of your two highest usage guys? And I think barring, I mean, look, he's not this bad of a shooter, I don't think. But, you know, even if he upticks a little bit from, like, the mid-range and back and from 3, you still need to have an open court for him. So then then you're talking about, okay, so can we bring in a stretch 5? Because that's really the only thing left they have to do. Right. And then it's like, okay, so fine. If you're the Knicks, do you like that? We all know who the name is. It's Miles Turner. Like, he is the obvious name. Is that the direction that you want to go this summer, to bring in a Miles Turner to try to make Julius Randle better / happier? Yeah. And what do you have to give up for Miles Turner? Like, could you imagine fan reactions if they gave up Obi Toppin?
Right.
And, like, a pick for Miles Turner to try to appease Julius Randle after the year he's had? Like, I'm like very anti-Randle, and, like, even I could sit here and be like, all right, maybe is it the best basketball decision? I don't know. Maybe. No. I don't want to do that.
I wouldn't want to do that.
That's so unpalatable. So, like, what are the other options? I don't even know.
Is the other option playing Obi? Because here we go again. We're going to go into year 3. Julius is going to be here. You have Obi who's surging as maybe, right? You have Obi who's surging as a starter, 15-7, 37% shooting from 3. He's bringing the energy. His confidence is through the roof right now. Not even second guessing anything. Yeah, still needs to work on things, but he's opening things up on this offense. How do they coexist if they're on the team again next year?
Well, you better get a new coach if you want that, you know. It's never going to happen here. It's, you know, again, to borrow a Fred Katz line, it is against Tom Thibodeau's basketball religion to exist without rim protection. I don't know. I think Obi, look, I probably fall in the middle on Obi in terms of, like, I love him. I want to see more of him, but, like, you have to ask yourself, how much of an investment are you willing to make as an organization to see what a player's ceiling is? And have they shown you enough to warrant making moves to try to put the player in a situation to be successful. I don't know if we're there with Obi yet. What I do know is what a lot of people have said is that the team just seems to play better when he's out there. And there are a lot of on-off numbers that speak to that fact. And the eye test is just like, oh, look, they're moving. They're energetic. They're like, and I made this comp like over a year ago, and I wrote it again I think yesterday, after the Nets game. Like CJ McCollum was the 10th pick in the draft. He was an older player, came from a small school. Nobody thought anything of him after 2 years. And then they opened up playing time for him. The guy went out and averaged 20 a game and won most improved player. Does Obi have that sort of leap in him? I have no idea. But I know I'm much more curious to see that future than I am to continue to see. Because, like, what if you're just going to keep him here to play him 16 minutes a night at most? That's poor asset management.
And that's why I said it's a dud pick. Now everybody got on me. Oh, what are you saying? Look how he's playing right now. He's a star. I'm like, yo, he's playing because number 30's not playing. Simple.
I don't know. Here's what I'll say. I haven't really staked out any hills to die on this offseason because I usually wind up dying on those hills. But the one is like, I don't see it making sense for them to bring back Randle and Toppin. It feels like it just has a bad vibe to me to enter into camp next year. Unless I'll throw this out there. Unless you tell Julius, like, look, I can't even say this with a straight face. No one wants you right now. We want to accommodate you. We want to get you to a team where you're happy, where you want to be, this, that, and the other thing. But you need to, like, show it a little bit in some more regular season games. And then you go to Obi and be like, listen, we love you. We want to move in this direction, in your direction, but we need to do this in the meantime. Like, maybe they do that, but like, I don't know. Is that really going to be a thing that happens? Like, I don't know. I'd much rather it be settled before camp.
These are the questions that Leon, Perry, if he's back, Tibbs,
if he's back,
they got to address that, man. They've got to figure that out. If these two guys are back in camp, how it works, or does one go over the other? They got to figure that out. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. KnicksFanTV, Knicks Film School crossover, State of the Knicks season wrap up edition, man. If you guys want to call in, call us up. 657-383-1509 is the number to call, or you could hit us up on the KnicksFanTV Discord. RJ. He's eligible for the rookie max extension, 5 years, 181, the full max. All eyes are on that. Money. How do you feel? Because I know you've been critical of RJ here and there throughout his couple of years.
Wait, hold on, let me. I gotta get my friend Crowan Barrett Jr. right here. He joins me for post games occasionally.
Yeah.
No, I've come around more on RJ. I was critical after his rookie year because he wasn't very good. And I don't like, I'll continue to say that. It's just, he was not a helpful basketball player. He was not helping them win games. It was just not great. I understand the situation wasn't great. Last year took significant steps forward. And then this year started out and I was worried by some of the things that we were seeing early on. And since New Year's Eve, he has looked the part of a guy who is going to make all-star team someday. I understand the efficiency is still a concern. Obviously, 7 for 27 the other night is not great. I don't know if he's ever going to be the most efficient guy in the world. What I do know is his work ethic. I don't think I question that. His attitude, his demeanor, his ability to play in New York, his ability to withstand criticism, his ability to be coached, his willingness to be coached, all that checks out. And if you're going to give me a guy with efficiency concerns, give me a guy who's going to get to the line 8 or 9 or 10 times a game for the next 10 years and just live around the rim. Like, teams know he doesn't have a pull-up right now. Right. It's non-existent. He's shooting, I don't know, is he shooting 24% on pull-ups at the moment? Yeah. And yet, he still finds a way to get to the basket again and again and again and again. And the shots that he misses sometimes, like, yeah, is it annoying when it's like, man, that how do you miss that? And if he is missing it, was there a pass to be made? I think he's getting better at that. That's the other thing that has me encouraged. I think he's taken steps as a playmaker. Like, look, he's not a max player right now. I don't think there's a conversation about that. Can he become one? Yes. If you're the Knicks, should you negotiate? Yes, of course you should negotiate. I think, like, I don't know what that negotiation is going to be like, but if I'm RJ Barrett and like the team is offering to pay me $30 million a year with incentives, like, what about an incentive laden deal where you have like some of the Julius things where it's like all-star team playoff 65 games, $2-3 million incentive per year, whatever it is. I think you could go up to 10% in incentives yearly, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, 25 to 30 million a year, you're getting in under the max. And if you're RJ Barrett, you get to be like, hey, I'm making $30 million a year. What's better than that? I think that's still a lot. But if you're the Knicks, I think you sign for that because guess what? They have zero leverage.
Yeah.
What's their leverage? You really want to get on bad terms with this guy, the face of your franchise? You can't do that. That's not an option.
No, that's a good point. But they don't have to do it this year per se, right? They can still wait. Do you think they will do it this year? Is there because I'm wondering if is there a cap benefit to maybe waiting a year, or do you
really
see any difference
because
there?
his cap hold is going to be his cap hold is going to be like in the high 20s. Mm-hmm. So, is there a theoretical benefit of a couple of $1 million? Yeah, sure, maybe. I don't know. To me, if you're the Knicks and something's wrong if you really need to like wait and see another, like by this point you should know what this guy is.
Yeah.
Right. And like I'm a little trepid. The only trepidation I have is like if you look at the numbers of max guys over the last 10 years, their numbers, and Benji got killed for bringing this up, but I had it in my newsletter as well. Like, go look at Andrew Wiggins' first 3 years. And I'm not just talking about like go look at his assists per game, go look at his like growth from like shooting, and you're like, oh well, that's Andrew Wiggins, he's not RJ Barrett. Well, like that's easy to say now, but like go look at go look at all the things. He was on a certain track up until the start of his 4th year. They gave him a max when, just like you just said, a lot of people were like, you don't have to give him the max right now, you can wait. They were like, no, he's one of the two faces of the franchise along with Towns. We got to invest in this guy. We've got to make him feel good. And then he started kind of regressing, or at the very least stagnating. Like, if they fear that RJ will stagnate or regress, then no, don't give him that money. But I would for my money, I think you've seen enough to know that he's going to continue to work hard to be whatever he's going to be. I don't know what that is. That's why, and I just, man, this organization needs a win right now. They need to have a solid foundation moving forward. Yeah. If you sign that guy to 5 more years, at least you're like, okay, whatever we got going on, like we have RJ. Do you really think whatever you sign him for is going to become an albatross? I don't think so.
No, I don't see it. And like you said, I don't think he's ever going to be the most efficient player. But if he can get timely buckets, a la Jimmy Butler, I think he'll be equally as impactful, especially as a guy that can get to the line the way that he's getting there. And he's finishing with both the left and the right hand, finishing very strong. I just feel like his work ethic is going to carry him. He's going up in numbers each year, right? Rookie year wasn't that great. Last year he took a step up. Now he's reaching the 20 points per game range. Put him out there with the shooters. We've seen his chemistry out there with Quick, with Obi, some of the younger players. I think with the centers, I think he needs a more athletic 3 so that they can get out there and run, whether it's off the rebounds or off of turnovers, because that's RJ's game. And so, look, I think to see where he's come to start the season off, he was almost a 3rd or 4th option sometimes when Kemba, Randle, and Fournier were kind of dominating the ball. And so to see how he's kind of, gotten through that based on all the changes, I think we should invest in him. Maybe it's not the full 5-180. Maybe it's 5-150, 5-140 something. But I think we should invest that in him, invest in his development, continued development. And, the character's there, man. He wants to be that guy. I would definitely look into that extension for RJ because I think it's worth it. And like you said, for the organization, I think it's something that we should do going forward. I feel good going forward.
Yeah.
Mitch. Another decision that has to be made.
It feels like years. How many years have we had to make a decision on Mitch?
Facts.
We were talking about like, oh, are they going to make him a restricted free agent at the beginning of last season?
Bro,
we were talking about this.
Can't make it up, man. But again, so many questions here. You know, there was reported earlier this year that they weren't on the same page in terms of contract negotiations, which you kind of figured was going to happen anyway. You have the emergence of Sims. Haven't seen Nerlens Noel since last year.
He's in witness protection.
He's in witness protection. Like I said, if they can't trade him, put him in a body cast for the summer, keep him on ice so he doesn't come into training camp with a hamstring, you know.
It's so bad.
A hangnail or something on his big toe. I don't know. How do you see what does your gut tell you on Mitch? Does he get a deal or is he gone?
I don't know. My gut is generally just like where there's smoke, there's fire, and there just seems to be a lot of smoke that he just may be elsewhere, you know, next season. I don't know. I think what we're gonna look back. I think what we may wind up looking back on as if not the biggest question of this season in terms of transactions, one of them is, was there a real offer for Mitch on the table at the deadline? And I think specifically we heard about Detroit. There were conversations there to some extent. I don't know what the Pistons had on the table. You know, could you have gotten a protected pick and like Isaiah Stewart or you know, again, we have no idea. But I'm just like, the part that has me a little queasy is the notion that this front office, which like, once they brought in Brock Aller, that at the very least, we were supposed to have the asset management side covered, right?
Yeah.
And like, with all due respect to my colleague, Jeremy Cohen, who is like going to talk himself into being excited about a $15 million trade exception or whatever we might get if he just walks and we end up doing a sign and trade like the Fournier sign and trade, right? Where Boston got a salary cap trade exception. I'm not going to be excited about that if that's all we get from Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, me neither.
Trade exception.
Me neither.
That's not enough for me. Not when you've had this guy for 4 years. Not when you've had enough time to figure out a way to keep him here or trade him before we've gotten to this point.
Yeah.
Do they like need him? No, I love Mitch as much as the next guy. But do I think he's like the organization's future rests on whether they bring him back or not? No, I don't. I love Sims. Sims is great. I don't think he's a starting center in the league, but I think he's really good. But I'll end with this. I have a feeling the Knicks are going to have to wind up asking themselves an uncomfortable question, which is like, do we want to pay this player 40% more than we think his market value is to keep him?
Yeah.
And like, there are some positions and some sorts of players you do that for. I don't know if in the league right now you do it for essentially a rim runner center who he's elite at offensive rebounding and he's a damn good rim protector.
Yeah.
But there are also things that he doesn't do. And the things that he doesn't do are like box you in, especially on offense, in certain ways. And it's like, okay, you're going to hand that guy 15. Again, I say like $15 million a year because who the hell knows what Detroit is going to offer or like whatever team. Like if you're Detroit, why wouldn't you like blow him away? What the hell else do they have to do with their money right now?
I think he goes to the highest bidder. I'd like to keep him.
I think so too.
I don't. For some reason, I just don't feel like he stays.
I don't either.
And I also think, look, with this team being capped out, he might be the guy we got to trade to get some upgrade. This roster needs to be consolidated a bit.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't rule out a potential sign and trade. I don't know if it's a Brunson move or what, but I wouldn't rule out a sign and trade to improve this roster, man. It might be via a Mitchell Robinson move. I just don't see him with the Knicks long term.
I don't either. That's been my gut. Sign and trades are tough because with him particularly because there's a we don't need to get into the cap mechanics of it, but because of a thing called base year compensation, it just makes it a little bit more complicated. You have to get a little bit more creative with your salaries that are going back and forth. It can be done, At this point, if you told me right now, like, if you just were like, they will get something of value for Mitchell Robinson this summer, I would be like, okay, fine. I'll sign. I just don't want to lose him for nothing.
I don't want to lose him for nothing, man. And I just feel like he's another guy similar to RJ who's played well despite all the circumstances. You know, playing with a disjointed starting lineup, not playing with a good point guard who can get him going it with the lob threat, you know, consistently. Yeah, he's got to set better screens. I get that, but you know, not playing with that consistent downhill threat. And to me, I'd like to keep him here at a reasonable price. Continue to focus on his development, but I just feel like, you know, the way he's going with his management, obviously he deserves to get paid, right? What's he only making, like $1 million or something this season?
He has made
$1 million plus
in his NBA career. I think he's made about $6 million.
Right. He deserves to get paid. So we'll see what happens there with the Blockness monster. But I think, you know, Sims' emergence, and I do view Sims as a backup like you. But I think Sims' emergence has. They've got to consolidate that too. I didn't like the Noel deal, period, bro. I didn't like that at all.
It wasn't good at the time, and I talked myself into it because it's like it's 2 years, $18 million.
Yeah.
You know, for a guy who, when he was on the floor last year, was like he was a legitimately very good top 5-ish defensive center in the league. Like when he was making it, like he was. I remember all those games where like he'd have a block or a steal or a couple of blocks, and it would spur them. And you would live with the offensive futility because of that stuff. And by the way, another, like, I don't want to go back to Randle, but like it's very apparent Randle likes playing with Noel, and like I've intimated it. It's come from some other places. Him and Mitch, I don't think are quite as copacetic. So like I wonder how much that has to do with Randle, whatever, this year. Yeah, they need to move on from Noel. I'll say this, the last thing on Sims, like, yeah, is he a starting center? Probably not. But this to me gets back to, is there the ability for this front office and willingness, famous last words, from this head coach to be a little bit more creative? I'm not saying abandon rim protection completely, but like maybe Sims is a guy who plays 25 minutes a game, and then you have another 20 minutes with a guy who can space the floor a little bit, give you a little bit of rim protection. Yeah. Like, I don't know, is like PJ Washington on the block this summer? Is there a trade that you could get him back? Like, again, not a rim protector per se, but like you could stick that guy at the 5 and feel a little bit better than sticking like Julius at the 5. Yeah. You know, we'll see.
Good point. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. State of the Knicks crossover, Megacast, CP the franchise here, Jonathan Macri of Knicks Film School in the building. We'll take your phone calls in just a bit. A couple more questions to get through. Which vet would you bring back?
That's a tough question because you're implicit in it is like, what can they get for the guys that they want to move on from? I don't know. I guess the easiest answer for that is, I can't believe I'm about to say his name. The easiest answer is probably Fournier.
Yeah.
I look, I haven't really been a Fournier guy this year. I don't. I appreciate what he does. When he is frustrating, he is. Oh my God, he's the most frustrating. With the frustrating 48 moments this year were like up there with the most frustrating Julius moments this year for me.
No question.
It was really bad. That said, I do think he could be a cog on a successful team. I think he's a pretty good teammate. Like, he's played really well down the stretch of the season. And he's another guy. Like, I wonder, like, what would he look like on the floor, like not with Julius Randle? What would he look like as a guy who's maybe given, because that was the thing, like when he's you know, but had a few games now without Randle in there. He has a little bit more leeway to do a little bit more playmaking, to put the ball on the floor. Like, that's what he wants to do. And I think I say Fournier, not again because I like him. I say that because the valuation for him is just not, I don't think it's great right now. I think if anything, you might find some team who could look at him as like a neutral asset. And like, I don't know, maybe if you wait till next trade deadline, you'll find some team that it's like, you know what? A year and a half of Evan Fournier at this number, like, we're cool with that. We'll give you something decent for that. I think they could get something decent for Burks. I actually think they could get something decent for Rose. Like, it's an expiring $14 million contract. I know it's a lot of money for a guy that missed his last, 50 some odd games. But I also, the reason I didn't say Rose also has to do with the fact that, like, I want to get more time with Quickly at the point.
Yeah.
It's been the one, along with him not being able to get Julius to be any version of a helpful player this year. The other major criticism I have of Thibodeau is just like, why didn't we just throw this guy out there at the point
From the beginning? Once they shelved Kemba, quickly should have been the guy, man, to come in next. Easy decision.
It was right there for you, and you could have, and again, I know they weren't going to do that because of like what they built this year up to be, but it would have been such an easy pivot, to be like, we know where like our future lies with these young players. We tried this thing with Kemba. It didn't work. You know what? Let's go through the bumps and bruises with this second-year player, which they kind of did because he struggled obviously for a while. He was figuring out the whole point guard thing. I know he didn't have a great game the other night, but like we've seen him come out the other side. He's just done it from the bench playing like 22, 23 minutes a game. I wish we would have seen a little bit more, and I want to see more going forward.
Yeah, no question. I'm with you. I think Fournier is the guy I would keep. I would try to transition him to more of a bench role. I like Fournier.
I love him on the bench.
I think, look, you can't do with enough shooting. To me, he is who we thought he was going to be. He was going to be high-volume three-point shooter, low-impact player in every other facet of the game, including his defense, including rebounding, all of that.
Yeah.
As you said, the playmaking potential was way better when Julius is out of it than when he was trying to mesh with Julius, RJ, Kemba, and all of that. I think it kind of took away from that aspect of his game, which I think is an underrated aspect of his game, is his playmaking and passing ability. I just think the guard spot is so cluttered. You haven't even drafted yet. You haven't even drafted anyone yet. The guard spot is so cluttered. I like Burks. He's my guy. I like Rose. You got to move on from them. Quickly needs to be prioritized. I want to see Grimes in there. I want to see McBride in there.
Yes.
Whoever this draft pick is, if they do keep that pick, we'll see.
I was about to say, if they keep it.
If they keep that pick, we'll see what happens there. But, building roots in the chats. Am I abandoning Burks? Yeah, man. I told you guys, I am a Burks Hive card-carrying member, but I'm for the team. I want what's best for the team. I've been trying to get quickly in the starting rotation for a minute now. We'll see what happens.
Just really quickly shout out Alec Burks. I came up with this, or I uncovered this last night because I'm a crazy person. Alec Burks now owns the Knicks record for most consecutive games with at least 3 3-pointers made.
Nice.
He's made at least 3 threes in 10 straight games. He's shooting 50% from deep over the last 10 games. I know nobody cares about this. And like nobody wants to see him. I get that. But the dude's like, he's been legitimately good pretty much all year, other than like a brief slump and like the crunch time stuff, which again, he's not putting himself out there in the last 5 minutes of these games,
But this is why you got to get rid of him, because if he's here again next year, the coach is going to play him.
I know.
And he might be a starting point guard next year, messing around with Tibbs. So
please, God.
we got to move from him. I would, again, keep Fournier, transition to the bench. Cam, they traded the first-round pick for Cam Reddish. Like I said, I want to get more athletic, want a solid, versatile wing that can, guard some threes, maybe guard a little bit of fours. I think that's Cam. Whether he is starting over Fournier or closing more games, which we did see before he got hurt. He was getting in the fourth quarter in some of these games on the West Coast. I'd like to see them go that route if he's on the team, because we also did see that they put him on the block at the trade deadline. So we'll see what happens going forward.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on Cam, but just really briefly, he is, other than maybe Obi, he's the biggest wild card to me going into the next season, just because, like, I'm not, like, his coach was very kind in throwing out, like, you could be Paul George.
Yeah, you guys got the next Paul George, man.
Yeah, that was a very kind thing to say as you.
Oh, man. Hold on. Hang on. My connection froze out. Let me get Macri back in here. Hang tight. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Let me get Macri back in here. Hang tight. Cam Hive kicked him off the street, man. Just as he was getting cooking, Cam Hive got him out of there.
Yeah. Recording in progress.
All right, hang on, man.
I see your smiling face, and then I see you opened up something new.
Yeah.
I hope this wasn't my fault.
No. It's a little glitch with the Zoom. Hang on one second.
tech issues follow me around.
That's right. All right, hang tight.
It's like poor crunch time
Recording
play
stopped.
follows.
Hang on. Okay, I think we're good to go.
Yeah.
Yep. Back up and running. Okay.
Recording in progress.
Your thoughts on Cam Reddish?
Yeah. No, he's a great unknown to me. That's all. I think for as much as like he was not great in Atlanta, the organization, if they turn around and like we want to invest in 25 minutes a night of Cam to see what he could do with the real opportunity to like, actually do something as opposed to just standing in the corner. Yeah. But again, like I don't know, does the organization have the stomach for that? Do they feel like going back to the Obi thing, do they feel like the potential payoff of that is warranted? To me, I think it is, because to me, Cam's the guy who like maybe can turn himself into the sort of asset that another team is going to look at and be like, yeah, well, that's not a bad piece to take back in this, in this trade that we're giving away our star player or whatever. I'm not saying he's on that level, but like you have to get pieces together the teams are going to want.
And maybe you can get lucky. This is how, when you're building these things out on the margins, maybe you can get lucky with a piece that either helps you win games down the road or helps you get an asset in here that could, take you over the hump. But to me, he's got to get more consistent minutes, got to show that he can stay durable. And I'd like to see him and RJ getting more time together. Point guard. Talking about the talk is about Brunson. Does he want $20 million a year? Sexton, you're hearing Brogdon. Is there a name out there if they're gonna go out and get who's the guy that you like?
That I like? Like that's the thing, is like none of these options are particularly appealing at the numbers that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wrote about Brogdon today, and look, I don't love Malcolm Brogdon. He's hurt a lot. He missed whatever. He's played I think 35 games this year. He's making $21 million a year, moving forward, or 22. So it's not cheap, but like he's solid. He's solid. Yeah. He could play off the ball. He could defend twos, some threes. Like I don't know if like Indiana was like, yeah, we're all in on Halliburton. We want to get what we can for Brogdon. Does that mean I want to give up like our lottery pick for him? No, I don't want to do that. But if there was a deal there to be had, where we could get him on the relative cheap, like I'd kick the tires there. The Brunson thing I've gone back and forth on, because he's not a player that is worth $20 million a year. He's just not. He's a good player. He's perfectly suited for the role he is in Dallas, which is as a sixth man, but like, you don't want to, negotiate from a position of weakness. And like the Knicks are desperate. His people know that. So like, are they going to blow him out of the water? Sexton's an interesting name. Yeah. Like I was against the theoretical, like Obi, I think, what was it? Like Obi and both of our firsts for Sexton, right? Mm-hmm. That was the one that was floating around. I was against that at the time because I was fearful, not of like the trade itself, but of, okay, if you make that trade, then you're basically committing to paying Sexton whatever it's going to take to keep him, because you don't trade for a guy who's an impending restricted free agent just to let him walk. Now that he's restricted coming off this ACL, like, I don't know, like what is his market? We don't know that. And like Cleveland seems to be doing awfully well in his absence. Now, I think they probably view him ideally suited for a six-man role, which I think they want to probably pay him along those lines. Mm-hmm, and I also think, by the way, the LeVert trade for the Cavs, I don't know if it was talked about that much at the time, but I feel like that was a sneaky, like, in case Colin leaves, we have this guy who could, I know they're different players, but could kind of serve that same function. Yeah. I'd kick the tires there. Like, that's a chance you take if you're a team in the Knicks position. I don't know how much I want to pay for that, but I think I'd probably, if you're asking me like Brunson or Sexton, whom if I could pay them roughly the same, who do I want? I'd probably say Sexton.
I'd go Sexton. That $20 million from Brunson is steep, man.
It's a lot.
It's very steep. At the same time, I just feel like we need an answer, man.
But look, I'm not saying he's going to walk in and be like one of the 15 best starting point guards.
Right, not that. But I feel like we need something we can rely on, not Burks. We need the anti-Burks.
I have to go back to quickly. That's the guy
Yeah.
I was about to say. Like he's not going to walk in there and be a great starting point guard, but like you have him under contract. He's entering a third year. Like if all of the options, I'm just saying, if all of the options are bad and you don't like any of the options, like you could do worse than giving your homegrown guy who showed real growth as a point guard this year a chance to like actually see what he could do with the job for a full year. I understand that's not what anybody had in mind for year 3 of the Leon Rose era, is like, we're going to try out the third year, like 27th pick in the draft at point guard. I don't want to make a bad decision. So,
yeah.
And there's nothing else. It's not like there's anything else out there that I could see, unless we're forgetting some, like, I don't see any obvious names.
Yeah, me neither. I would love Brogdon, but at this point, you could probably pencil him in to miss at least 20-something games a season, which is the most unfortunate thing.
He's missed on average over 20 games over the course of his career.
There you go, which is the unfortunate thing, because I feel like he'd be tailor-made for this lineup. The versatility that he brings, obviously the size. Tibbs would love him there. But that's certainly a gamble. Like you said, going with Quick may not be the worst thing in the world if you're talking about trading for Brunson, then paying him north of $20 million a year. Even though I like Brunson, safe, steady hand, can play make for you, doesn't turn the ball over, scores very, very efficient on the drives. Like, there's a lot to like about him. But yeah, 20 mil is steep. 20 mil is definitely steep. So something to definitely think about. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CP and Macri on the 1s and 2s. Let's get to the phone calls, hear what the people got to say. Let me start up the phones real quick. Let me start up the phones here. Hang tight.
And while you're starting up the phones, I will give a shout out to you.
Hang tight. One second. I just don't want the my British assistant to talk over you. Hang on. All right.
You're calling back. Reconnecting you now.
Okay, so
Your
to
show
everybody
will
in
go
chat.
live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I was just shouting you out for this year. You killed it.
It's been a long year, man. It's been a long year, man.
As the Spurs are about to lose, unfortunately.
Oh,
Bad job, San Antonio. What are you doing? Come on.
man. I always said that the 17-win season, to get through that, you can get through anything. But this one, I think this one was tougher. I definitely think this one was tougher.
In a lot of ways, it was.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it was. I agree.
100%, man. But you know what? Listen, this is what we love to do. It's all in fun still. And, talking through the offseason will get us into the next season. And we'll battle it out again, man. So let's get to the phones. Let me start off with Ron from B-More, my guy Ron from B-More. Ron, how you doing, man?
Hey, man, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And you got Jonathan on, big fan of his as well.
What's going on, Ron?
I'm Latrell Sprewell's The American Dream on YouTube, John. So,
what's going on, my man? How are you?
I'm good, man. So, couple things here. Alec Burks was Michael Jordan last year for this team. It's not his fault. I appreciate you giving him some love. He's being put in a terrible position. Off the ball, he showed he could be Michael, and it's unfortunate what he's had to do because he's not a point guard. I just want to get that out there. So, Alec, if you're listening, this is not your fault. Now, my question is this. You guys mentioned the point guards and the names. I agree with you. I don't love anything. My question to you is this. Is it possible that the New York Knicks could trade up in the draft? And I'm not going to tell you I know every name. I'm not going to lie to the American public. Mm-hmm. My question to you is, can the Knicks, with the assets they have, move up and get a top rookie point guard? That's one of the best point guards in the draft. I don't know who that is, and I know it's Tibbs, and I know he's going to have to play him. But can they? Do you think that's a possibility?
I will also not lie to the American public, and I'm not going to sit here and be like I've watched a ton of tape on Jaden Ivey, who is the closest to the player that your theoretical player you're referring to. But my understanding is he is not a player that any team is going to slide in at point guard next year. He's the highest pedigree guard, but he profiles much more as a combo guard. I don't think that's and also the other issue is that my understanding of this draft, and CP, feel free to chime in, is that if you get a top 4 pick in this draft, you are going to and some team wants to trade for it, like, boy, is that going to cost a lot.
Yeah. No question. And we had my guy Corey Talbot, No Ceilings Podcast. They cover the draft. A little smacker again. Hang on. Hang tight 1 second. So to everybody in the chat, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Just a little technical difficulties here. Hang on. Hang on. Don't know what happened here. Hang on. But yeah, as I was saying for Ron, you know, we had Corey on and he didn't feel like Ivy was going to be a sliding in at the point next season. I mean, we'll see what happens. Anything is possible. But I don't see any teams within the top 4 that's going to be willing to trade out. You know, knowing that this draft lacks a lot of depth, I don't see that happening. So for the Knicks, we need help. We need help in the lottery, and that will be May 17th. But yeah, Macri, as I was saying, you know, we had Corey Talbot of Hardwood Herald on, and he didn't think Ivy was going to be, you know, slotted to start at the point in his rookie year. Obviously, still needs work, but yeah, I don't see a trade really happening, you know, into that top 4. I don't see that happen. So again, we'll just have to see how it plays out. Nick from New Jersey. Nick, how you feeling?
Oh, I'm good. I just want to say first, congrats on the 50K. I want it to be 55 to 60K by the end of this summer. I'm really excited for you guys with the draft. So I'm calling in to discuss Julius Randle and why I think the front office, or just like hear me out, why I think the front office may be somewhat hesitant on trading him this summer and might wait towards training camp or right before the season starts or potentially the trade deadline. And the first reason I think might be Mitch. And because if they cannot re-sign him or do a sign and trade and lose him for nothing, that's going to be very bad for Leon Rose in the front office. Number 2, I know you've said it before, just talent, because he still is a talented player, and we need talent to win the NBA. Like, I know last night, the 20-point collapse, they have Durant and Kyrie, and I'm like, where the guys were playing good, they were definitely gassed playing 40 minutes tonight, but I'm like, these guys are future Hall of Famers, and that's just what it's that's what they are. I'm not saying Randall's a future Hall of Famer, but he's still a very talented player. And then another point I have, so Randall's contract is $117 million. So if he gets shipped out, you're going to have to bring in probably close to that money in an already crowded rotation. And then we haven't even drafted yet.
Yeah.
So that's we're going to have us beyond a surplus of guys. Leon Rose doesn't want to make Tibbs' job any harder. Tibbs doesn't want his job to be any harder because he knows he could be done potentially this summer. And if it doesn't work out next year, he really could be gone. And he does not want to have to deal with that. And then number 3, I think it's just Leon Rose's job in general. Say Randle comes back on the team, he's in the best shape possible, and say he's playing well at the start of next year, then maybe Leon's like, okay, let's see how it goes until the trade deadline. But say they trade him this summer, he goes to another team, plays well, then the Knicks don't get full value back.
Yeah.
Okay. How would that look for Leon Rose? I mean, because if that happens, I mean, Leon has to do what's in the best interest of the team, but at the same time, he also wants to stay employed. He doesn't want to get fired.
Fair point.
He's going to think
Appreciate the call. Appreciate the call, man. Your thoughts?
I mean,
on that?
the notion of watching him go and be successful somewhere else is definitely something that has to be weighing on Leon Rose's mind. I don't think the Mitch thing has that much to do with Julius, but you know, I don't know. I agree with what the caller's overall theme was. Is the guy is still an asset. You know, he's a distressed asset. but he's an asset. Like, and the notion that, I was again reflecting back on like the Melo years, like when Phil was just like, we got to get Tyson Chandler out of here. We got to get J.R. Smith out of here. Like just at all, like you got to make the right trade, and that's, if you don't make the right trade, that's how you set your organization back. So
I've been seeing, I've been going to the pregame shoot-arounds. I went yesterday and I went last week, and Rosas has been front and center. Worldwide West, Leon's been down there.
Interesting.
Yeah. What do you make of Rosas' role? They brought him in as a consultant to Leon. What do you make of that, or based on people you've spoken to?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really heard much since he was hired. I really do think Leon is just, again, based on the reporting that's been out there, Leon just values having a lot of voices that he respects in the room to help try to make the decisions. And he clearly does not worry about those voices offering dissenting opinions. So like Rosas is a guy, I know what went down in Minnesota towards the end was like, there was some ugly reporting as far as like how his leadership style was, and some other people, I guess, around the league weren't like thrilled with having to deal with him. But like he for a long time was a very respected basketball guy, respectable basketball mind. I think obviously steeped in analytics more so than most. I don't know. I don't think it for me, it doesn't impact what I think they are going to do or not going to do this summer. But why? What are your thoughts? Anything? No,
yeah, just curious to see his role. He's down there chopping it up, chummy with Van. It was a nice little circle. It was Rosas, it was Van Gundy, it was Steve Clifford. I forget the other assistant coach for the Knicks. Real dark hair, tall guy, real dark hair, older guy. He was the last guy that Tibbs had brought in when he had assembled that coaching staff. I forget his name.
It's escaping me at the moment too.
Yeah, but yeah, just curious. And then obviously with Perry being in the last year of his deal, just kind of wondering how that factors in. The Rosas, front office. And
talk about a survivor,
influence.
Scott Perry, man,
sole survivor, man. So we'll see how that goes. Shout out to O Skrilla, $5 super chat, says front office knows Tibbs better than anyone, yet they keep adding vets, knowing that's less minutes for the youth. So ain't that more on the front office? I think so. I think number one, they need to put together a complimentary roster, and that starts with a starting five, and then. If they want the younger players to play, they've got to figure out how to dial it back with some of these acquisitions that they made last offseason to see how they get there. And then the conversation needs to be had with Tibbs, whether it's the Randle Obi dynamic, whether it's Cam, so on and so forth. How do we ingrain some of these kids more into these rotations rather than just it be circumstantial?
Two things. One, it was Andy Greer, the name that you were searching for.
Andy Greer, yes. That was it, Andy Greer.
Shout out Andrew Claudio, my fabulous producer.
Yep.
Number two, I think the front office has done a nice job of getting away. I don't want to say scot-free this year, but they've done a nice job of like the blame has clearly centered on Tom Thibodeau and Julius Randle. And like, that's fine, whatever. But like, I understand that they were coming from nothing, almost literally nothing. And then they had last year and they get the benefit of the doubt for that. Just like, I've given Tibbs more of the benefit of the doubt for last year. Front office, same thing. There were some miscalculations here along the way. And I go back, and I'm not saying it was easy to resist, but like, man, the Kemba thing was just... When you think about it now, especially with he's just not a Tibbs point guard. Like Tibbs is like, and you look at the numbers with Kemba in the lineup, and then without Kemba in the lineup, it's clear as day.
Yeah,
it's been a different team without him. I don't know what other options there were that were like really good options. Maybe there weren't any. Like we're talking about point guards this summer. That's something I go back to. Just to think about.
Yeah, that's a great point. Great point, especially to his point of being vet heavy, and clearly signaled to me that we always knew that once they re-signed Rose, they were still looking for additional depth. But it also said to me that, again, they weren't really going to look at Quick or McBride and really factor them in. That decision should have been made before you go and bring in a Kemba. So, I think that speaks to his point in terms of just really stacking this roster up with veteran contracts like that. I understood it at the time as a low-risk move, but, again, it didn't really help get your young guys into that rotation because Tibbs is going to – started going to that well.
It was as Benji Rizzold has said, it was a theoretically low risk move that ended up turning into a very high risk move.
Facts, man. Shout out to Ben Rizzold, man. Does great work breaking down film for Knicks Film School, man. Real sharp guy. Let's go to the Discord. Michael White, my arch rival, man. Michael White in the Discord. He follows me everywhere. And the switchboard to the Discord. What's going on, man? Michael White going once. All right, I see his levels moving. Let me restart the Discord real quick, and then it should be working.
Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear. How you feeling, bro?
Man, I'm having a good time.
Okay.
I'm a retired man. Okay, you know what? It's possible for Julius to stay. I would prefer if he did stay that they would move Tibbs. But I think, really and truly, I think they should just put Obi and Julius together. I know you lose a lot on defense as far as rim protection, but Obi can rim protect pretty well. I actually think that might be, if you can't get rid of him, what are you going to do? Something.
Well, yeah.
But we're going to lose Mitch. Get Mitch out of your mind. Just think about something else. We're losing him because he didn't show up to that game, and I don't think he was sick.
We got inside info here. This is breaking news.
Michael White breaking it down. I don't think he would be intentionally missing games. I don't think it serves him well.
I don't think. Well, if he knew he didn't want to play anymore. He hadn't mentioned that he had been sick.
Yeah, but anybody gets sick.
The day of the game. Most people want to play that game.
All right, appreciate the call, man. Appreciate the call.
It is interesting. Like I always I don't know. It's just maybe it's a small thing, but like Derrick Rose, has been on the bench, and I understand Mitch. It's like he's sick theoretically, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, whatever. So you don't want to be around other people when you're sick. But I just shout out to Derrick Rose for being around, being present,
shooting. He's out there practicing.
Yeah,
good
vet. Him and Taj. Long live the late aughts Bulls.
Yeah, 100%, man. Nah, D Rose has been out there putting in work. I saw him last night pregame. He's out there shooting around. Hornets game. Him and his son. He had his son out there at pregame shoot around. So D Rose is still around the team. No question. All right, couple more calls. Let's go to Justin Baptiste, Honolulu, Hawaii in the building. Justin, how you feeling?
Nice.
I'm feeling good. CP, Jonathan, good to see you guys on here.
Absolutely.
My question to you guys is this. With the state of the Knicks being at the way that it is, what is your thoughts on Mark Jackson being the head coach if Tibbs is let go or something happens? And do you believe he might be the answer to help Julius and his on-the-court situations?
Let me tell you something, man. From Fizdale years on down, the Jackson Hive has not abandoned their quest to get their guy back into Madison Square Garden, man. Since I've been doing this 4 years, Macri.
I know.
Oh, no, we're in 2022. 4.5 years. We're going on 5 years. They have not gone away. I think that has been the longest standing Hive since we started doing this thing, man.
You know what? If they fire Tibbs and hire Mark Jackson, they should just trade for Russell Westbrook too, just to solidify my existence as the unhappiest man on the face of the earth. And you know what? Send me a complimentary bottle of bleach too, with a. You could even put the team logo on the bottle of bleach and give me a straw.
Oh man. Yeah, Jackson's Hive. I don't think it's gonna happen for you guys, man. I don't think it's gonna happen. That's all I can say.
He's a unique personality. So. I'll say that.
That's a fact. I see him sticking it out with Van Gundy and Breen, to be honest. I don't see him getting back into this thing.
And it's a good job for him. It's very belongs.
Mama, there goes that man. JJ from Brooklyn. JJ, how you feeling?
Yo, CP, Matthew, what's good? How you guys doing, man?
Good, man.
What's going on?
Chilling. I know as the RJ critic, I'm here to criticize RJ just a little bit more before the
here we
season
go.
ends, right?
Okay.
All right.
I know it was
go.
off of last night's game. I know last night's game rubbed you the wrong way. So here we go. Let's go.
Oh yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just last night though. Let's be honest. He's been having tunnel vision for a good 2 months. The last 2 months. Let's be real. He's dropping points, but the efficiency is horrific. We want him to be this guy. He's at 40% from the field right now. Come on now. That is not good at all. 34% from three, 71% from the free throw line. It's like when I hear these things like max contract, build around him, untouchable, like it makes me scratch my head, honestly. He's not that type of talent. I don't get what we mean as Knicks fans build around RJ. Like, we want him to be our best player and go where? He's averaging 20 points on a terrible team that's really disappointing. The efficiency's horrific. The defense, I could get on that, but I'm not even going to. So, where are we going with RJ Barrett as our best player? In my opinion, I can make the case he's been worse this year than last year. He's averaging more points because he's taking almost 3 more shots a game than last year. Of course, he's gonna have more points. The efficiency is way down across the board, and so is his defense. He still can't hit layups in his third year. He's still terrible finishing at the hoop. Still no consistent 3-point shot. Where is the improvement? Honestly, I've been asking people this, and still nobody has told me where he's improved. Honestly,
well.
JJ couldn't wait. He couldn't wait till after that Nets meltdown thing to go at him, man. We had him on ice for a good couple of months, man. Go ahead, Mac, bro.
If RJ Barrett is your best player, your team is not going to be very good. And I think there is a segment of the RJ hive that thinks he could be like the best player in a good team. I've never gotten there.
I'm not there.
Barring something crazy, I don't think I ever will get there. He is still a flawed player. However, to say that he hasn't improved over the course of this year is ignoring.
No way.
It's ignoring numbers. Like, if you look at his free throws, for instance, free throws for 36 minutes over the course of the first 2.5 months of this year, and his free throws since New Year's Eve, he's like right in between like Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler. He's like 10th in the league in free throws per game over that time. Like, that's a real cognizable NBA skill. I think when you look at the playmaking, when you look at the assists, when you look at the potential assists, like, would you like for him to be closer to 4 assists a game already? Yeah, I'd love that. But I also look at him and he's at 3.5 assists a game again since New Year's Eve, since he's had the ball in his hands more. Like, go back and look at some of the wings that get a lot of attention in this league as like the next up and coming like star players. Like, go look at Jason Tatum's assists per game. And look at how long it took for him, to say nothing of a guy like Jaylen Brown, who had up until very recently had more turnovers than assists over the course of his career. Like, playmaking comes a little bit slower for some players than others. And I think RJ's been kind of in the middle. But if you look at how he's been tracking, and I think that the key thing to consider, and then CP, I'm curious what your thoughts are, is like, he went from a guy who was a 23 usage guy over the first 2.5 months of this year, which is the number he'd been at the previous 2 years, to a 30 usage guy. Yeah. That is, I know it doesn't sound, that is a massive leap when you look at the NBA and like what that's like, to make that jump, what that means. And he's gotten more efficient since he's increased that usage rate. To me, that speaks to like, okay, there's something else here. I want to see what else it is. I agree with you. He's not a max player right now, but you're not investing in the player that he is right now. You're investing in the player he's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line.
You're investing in his future potential, which at year 3 is looking good. And no, I don't think RJ is going to be a 1A guy on a true contender, but he's going to be one of them. One of 3. I think he will be one of 3, and he'll be just fine. Let him continue to work on his game. Again, he may not be the most efficient player, but he also may not have to be. And I think the playmaking will come around. People, got mad. Yeah, he was a little bit tunnel vision last night. He was hogging the ball a little bit last night. It's all understandable. Let him learn from that.
Just the other really brief thing that I think people need to, I'm not saying people aren't doing this, but it seems like some people are not doing this, is to acknowledge when you're looking at, forget the field goal percentage. You want to look at effective field goal percentage.
Right.
When you look at RJ's effective field goal percentage, it's going to wind up this year being lower than it was last year. I understand that seems like a problem. He got that effective field goal percentage up so high last year because all he was doing was standing behind the 3-point line, other than his like 5 drives per game, and he was feasting on those Julius Randle kickouts.
Yeah.
And he was making them. He was making those spot ups. He's still making spot ups at a pretty good rate. He's just taking so much less of them because that is not his role in the offense anymore. His role in the offense has fundamentally changed, and he's trying to develop a pull-up game. It's not pretty now.
It's not pretty.
It's pretty ugly, but this is the time to make that investment, to shoot 24% on pull-ups. It's because you got to get the volume first, and then after you get the volume up from nothing, which is where it was last year, then you start to get the efficiency.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on, man. And JJ, he's gotten the reputation as the RJ hater. We had him on ice for a couple of months, man, but after last night's game, we knew he was coming back. But look, I understand his issue, but you're investing in the future potential. I think RJ's gonna get there, man. He may not be the star for the team, but I think in this town where you're seeing Julius melt down in front of our eyes, I also think the mental makeup factors into this, man.
It has to.
I think that's important.
Just like I'm high on Quickly, I'm high on Obi, I'm like high on all these guys. Imagine where this organization would be right now if we didn't have RJ Barrett like sitting there and just like as something to at least be like, look, is he the most exciting player in the world? No, he's not the most exciting player in the world. I get that, but like, he's solid. Like, what you have in him, I think. And I think you're gonna see it even more moving forward.
What do you guys think of the chat, man? Rate JJ's call 1 to 5, 1 being trash, 5 being facts. I see the Gooch in here. The Gooch is throwing 5s in here.
That's mean.
Show yourselves, man. Are you agreeing with JJ? Go ahead and let us know, man. Let us know in the comment section, and we'll shout you guys out. Okay, to wrap up on the Discord, let's go to E-Crossover. E-Crossover, go ahead.
Yo, what's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Good, man. What's going on?
Yeah, man, everything's good, man. So to talk about just the state of the Knicks and everything, I like to start with RJ. One thing that makes up a lot of the things that he's been doing inefficiently lately, just with this poor shot making choices, but like he'll develop from that. He just has to, figure out how to create good off the dribble moves and just know how to get to the basket a little bit more crafty. He does this. He does this all the time where he does like this little crossover, then he goes straight to the left lane most of the times, and he gets contested, and all he needs to do is just find those reads. But what I love about him is that he takes accountability for himself. He thinks himself at a higher standard. So that right there, you look for that in a young player. Do I think he's worth $20 million? Yeah. Above that, maybe I'm pushing it. I'd rather see him play out this last year on his contract and see how he makes up, and then see if he's worth that 25 and up. Because you don't want to be, stuck with a guy that he played hard for his last year. Then he ends up like, I don't want to say like Julius, but ends up not panning up to what the money that you're paying him for. I want to see Randle gone. Seeing Obi play the way he's playing, he's getting Julius. He's getting Julius numbers. Like he averaged like 20. He hit like 2 games where he shot 20 points, and he's shooting efficiently, like 50% from the floor, 58%. Like this guy is doing the same thing Julius can do, but more efficiently, not having to take 26 shots to get like 30 points, So I want to see that happen. I want to see Quickly in the starting lineup. And honestly, I think keep Fournier and play him like they did in Atlanta, like what they did with Bogdanovich. He was a starting shooting guard, and they put him on the bench as a 6-man. I think Fournier off the bench will be a good spark plug for them, and I think Fournier will probably accept that. And having a guy like Deuce McBride that can make up for that defense in the perimeter with him can actually help out even more. Mitch, I don't know what they're really going to do. If he gets $20 million, I think he's gone. I don't think the Knicks are going to even try to like match that, because he's been injury prone a lot of the season and a lot of the other seasons he's playing. So you got that risk factor also. So I wouldn't trade for a point guard now, because I know I'm a Jalen Brunson guy, but I understand paying him $20 million. He's a 6'1" guard. You don't know how much you can get out of him defensively, and he's probably not a Tom Thibodeau type point guard anyway. So having somebody like Quickly that he trusts a little bit more, you start him, see how that goes. For Burks and Noel, I don't know what you can really get out of them. Hopefully you get some valuable draft capital or take an expiring contract or so. But yeah, man, like this team going forward, going young with Cam and Grimes. Hopefully Grimes is healthy too, because he has this knee problem. Hopefully he doesn't hinder him throughout next season also. But like it's looking bright, man. Like the way they play fast, they play hard, and if they keep playing like this, man, it's sky's the limit. And if RJ develops into a better player and a rising star like a rising star from another team, probably say, hey, I want to get out of here and go to this team. Oh, you don't know what could happen. Endless possibilities.
Okay.
I'm out, y'all. You have a good one.
Appreciate the call, man.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, I mean, just in terms of the numbers, like last summer we saw 2 restricted free agents in Lauri Markkanen and John Collins signed for $17 million annually and $25 million annually. The notion that RJ is going to sign on the dotted line for like $20 million a year, that's not happening.
It's not going to happen.
Not saying it wouldn't be nice if you got him for that, but
plus you got to watch that hero deal. Because the hero deal is going to be coming up.
I am fascinated by what he's going to get and what his camp is good. Because like, if you're Tyler Hero's camp, like, why wouldn't you be like, yeah, our opening negotiation position is the max.
Yeah,
that's where we're going to start at. Come back with an offer. Like I would do that if I were them. The guy's averaging 20 points a game and like making really like high degree of difficulty shots.
Yeah, big time. It's going to be very interesting to see how Riley plays that out. I mean, look at all the contracts that they're invested in already between Butler, Bam, the Lowry deal. Miami's. It's going to be interesting to see how they play that one.
He's also a key because they're always going to be looking, and it's only a matter of time. He's a key part of that that eventual trade
for Donovan
trade
Mitchell.
package.
For Donovan Mitchell. Oh man.
Please no. Come on, give us Donovan.
The 2023 trade deadline when Riles swoops in and kills the Knicks again and steals our guy.
They can't get Donovan and Zion.
Bro, with Riley, you just never know, man. You just never know, man. That whole team, he'll scrap that whole team down to bare bones.
Jimmy, thank you for your
Thank
service.
you. We'll bring you back with and hang your jersey up next to Jordan's later on.
There's a gift basket in your locker. Pick up on the way out.
You never know with Riles, man. You just never know. But we'll see how that plays out. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. State of the Knicks crossover, Megacast, CP the franchise, Jonathan Macri, Knicks Film School. If you guys are new in the chat, leave us a hashtag new, and we will shout you guys out. But we got to get to the closer, Jay Boogie on the line. Jay Boogie, how you feeling?
Salute, salute, salute. 3 capital S's. Shout out to the greatest people it is in the world. Stop thinking that you're fans. You're not fans. You're people, man. You're the greatest people it is in the world to continue on successfully and supporting this orange and blue, you know what I'm saying? Each and every day, each and every night, man. We breathe orange and blue. We breathe for, you know what I'm saying, the New York Knicks to get on that right direction. And one day that's going to happen for us. Shout out to my man, J. Mack. God bless you, Mr. Mack. Happy Father's Day to you again. I say that, you know what I'm saying, to you each and every day. Every day, happy Father's Day to everybody. Happy Mother's Day to every day. Stop letting the world tell you it's this one day that you're that person when you're that person each and every day. Appreciate everything you've been doing all season. I'll be tuning into your show, you know what I'm saying? Majority of the time, you're the first one to come on. So, I'll be heated. I'll be like, man, I need somebody to relax me. And you always put me in that smooth, calm down mode, man. Thank you for everything that you're doing, man. Blessings to you and your family. And shout out to my GM, great man, general manager, the young Lloyd Banks, you know what I'm saying? CP, you know what I'm saying? Had a great time with you. Let me tell you that. Had a great time with you last week.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm
Hornets game,
but
we
check
turned
this out. This is how it's going down, man. We got 2 games left before the off season is over and the off season is done with, and then we go into the on season. Ain't nobody playing no basketball, so them guys is getting ready to go on vacation right now because they ain't done nothing all season. But the on season is what I need. I need the officers to come along and start putting in that work. Leon, I'm putting that pressure on you and everybody that got something to do as far as getting this roster right, man. You need to figure out which direction, which way you want to go. You need to figure out that quick, fast, and a hurry. These 2 games, I mean, everybody that want to tank or everybody that want to win games, we stuck right here year, it is what it is, and we got what we got. But I need Leon. You need to figure out the direction. If you want to go young, I need you to get rid of all of these leaders. You know what I'm saying? That's on this team. You know what I'm saying? And continue on building with the young, and she's continue on building with the draft. If you're gonna go get some players, go get some killers. Stop bringing me some dudes over here that's gonna play 1 or 2 years and be faking with me. I need dudes that can click that switch button on. You think Kyrie and Durant and them out there playing? You think they playing out there in Milwaukee? You think they playing out there in Miami? Pat Riley over there? Them dudes know how to turn the switch on at each and every any time of the game and go ahead and handle their business. That's what I need. If I don't have type dudes that can match, you know what I'm saying, the caliber they play, continue on building through the draft. Continue on building with the young. But stop playing with me, man. Stop playing with the podcasters. Stop playing with the people. Stop playing with the loyal people to the organization, man, and get the situation right, man. Please, I beg upon you. I'm getting too old to continue doing the same thing every year and every year and every year. You know what I'm saying? And then at the end of the year, we got the biggest topic. We the biggest topic every year, and we ain't won nothing. Everybody know what we gonna trade, who we gonna draft, who we gonna trade to, what we gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Now we got some picks, and we got some caps. You know, so we got some contracts we need to get rid of. You need to figure it out on all this season right here, this on season. And it's not poker time. Stop trying to beat somebody that got a full house. You only got a pair of deuces. Have a full deck hand and be ready to go, man. Get this thing right. 2 games left. 1 in Washington, back in the gut. Matter of fact, they need to just let everybody in. First come, first serve. You're getting that game free. You know what I'm saying? This one right here is on the house. But we know JD is not going to do that. But shout out to Mr. Dolan for keeping it on the low. He stayed out of the way. He letting y'all continue on handling your business. He's staying out your way. So you can't blame nothing on James about nothing he's doing. Thank you, Mr. Dolan, for allowing that man to go do what he do. But Leon, you owe. You Pookie. New Jack City. You pow. You owe. God bless you. Y'all stay healthy and safe. Salute, salute, salute. 3 capital S's.
Jay Boogie, the closer.
Thank you, Jay Boogie, for that. It just hit me. Alec Burks, and again, a part of the Burks Hive here. I love Alec Burks. Alec Burks, in the last 5 minutes of a close game, he is a pair of 2s. You might win. If the other guy has nothing, you might win. The odds are not looking in your favor, though.
The odds are not looking good, man. With Burks, it could be 8, it could be 38. You just never know, man. You just never know. But great show, great session. As always, man. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. State of the Knicks. What do you guys think? You know, we touched on a lot of this. Shout out to the replay gang for those of you catching up on demand. Leave a comment in the comments below. Let us know some of your thoughts on the topics that we covered, man. Long off season ahead as we wrap up this next season. Obviously, we got 2 more games left, as Jay Boogie said, and then we move on into the lottery, move on into the draft, free agency. And, you know, a lot of questions that need to be answered, man. Macri, great show as usual. Go ahead and give the people your final thoughts and where they can follow you, man.
Yeah, my final thoughts are, look, we've been through, to use the Shawshank line, we've been through 500 yards of much worse than this. It has been bad over the last 20 years. I don't think we're quite there yet. I think we're there right now. I think things are a little bit better than this season has left us feeling. So I know I'm the optimistic one, but keep the faith. I think good things are still ahead. And as far as me, I will start by giving a shout out. Andrew yelled at me last time because I didn't do this, even though you're predominantly YouTube. You're like, how do you not give the YouTube channel a shout out on the guy that has 50,000? So go subscribe to the Knicks Film School YouTube channel, which is where most of our stuff runs on there. We also obviously have a podcast, Knicks Film School Podcast, and then you can follow me on Twitter at JC Macri NBA. And thank you for having me on. It's always fun, and I'm excited to talk to you in whatever it is, a few weeks over the other half of the home and home.
Absolutely, man. Got to do these home and homes. Very much necessary. Salute to Andrew Claudio. Sends a super chat in here. He says, the crossover CAA has been waiting for. Shameless plug. Subscribe to the Knicks Film School YouTube channel. Yeah, man. The company men have come together for a meeting of the minds. Yep. Some of you might not like it, but it is what it is, man. Continuity, stability, people. We need that first and foremost. We will be okay. Shout out to Jamaica Queen 22. $10 super chat says, can we please stop bringing up Mark Jackson? We don't need that. Speaking of we don't need that, shout out to the people at Mike's Chicken Spot in MSG, man. I went there yesterday.
What'd you have?
I got the chicken finger. You got to get the chicken fingers. So I got the chicken fingers, and the guy handed it to me, and the cashier recognized it because I had on the KnicksFanTV hat, and she was like, "You're the guy that says we don't need that, and you just hit 50K." I said, "Yes, that is right. Now, can I get some free food?" She was like, "On the house." So I was like, "No doubt, man." So shout out to everybody.
Whoa.
Yeah, man. They were showing love at MSG last night, man. Mike's Chicken Spot, section 115, Mac. Go ahead and go there. They're giving the Knicks content creators some love. They're showing love over there. The Chicken Spot, man. Popping. Real good.
I love me some chicken.
Yeah. And it comes with the packet of the sauce, whatever it's called, the Mike's Hot Sauce. But yeah, it's pretty good.
Mike's Hot Honey?
That was it. It's Mike's Hot Honey.
I got some in my cabin. I put that on everything.
Yeah, it's Mike's Hot Honey branded chicken stand. And it's pretty good. Cool people over there as well, man. So shout out to them. Shout out to Above the Rim says, wait for that man to get right and accept his qualifying offer. Question, has played with Quick as his point guard and has played with RJ as his running mate and has played with Killer Cam as his wing gunner. Like Nas says, it was written. Not sure if he's talking. I'm not sure if he's talking about. Yeah, Above the Rim. You got to let me know who you're speaking on that one. I'm not sure who you were speaking on. Or what conversation we were having. Kenny Gale says, Burks isn't bad. I can't watch another year of him inbounding the ball in close game situations. What does he can play it serious is wild. Yeah, I don't know, man. The Burks thing, inbounding has been a disaster since last year. I'm not sure why that coach kept going back to that. But that's something that they got to look at. Apostle in the Making says, for me, I think Randle is tiring, averaging the most minutes last year and very high this year. He is gassed, and that's on Tibbs, you as the coach. Interesting. Jessica Clarice Eisner says,
what's going on, Jessica?
Is that your family? You know them?
Yeah, I know Jessica's my girl.
No doubt. So she says, Matt Creed, CP, my two favorite Knicks content creators. Thanks for always being the even-headed adults in the room this season. We need that. Otherwise, it's just all hyperbole. Much appreciated. Let's go, Knicks. Shout out to Jessica. Dope comment and super chat. Josh B says KFTV and KFS, two of my favorite content creators. Shout out to Josh B, man. So, great show. We'll be back tomorrow night. Knicks versus Wizards. Second to last game of the season. Remember that this show is presented by Manscaped, fellas. Go to manscaped.com. Promo code KFTV for 20% off plus free shipping. Remember, April is Testicular Cancer Month as well, so Manscaped is doing a great promotion there. Make sure that you guys are supporting, and make sure you guys are going to get checked out, man. Not too early to go get checked out for that type of stuff. Don't be afraid to go to the doctor if you're experiencing anything, man. Especially this month, as it is Testicular Cancer Awareness Month. So take care of yourselves. Remember that this show is available in audio podcast format, all the major podcast platforms. So no reason to miss it if you miss it on video. And that is a story, man. I think we got another super chat. Naruto Goku says, at Gooch, for real, RJ's overrated by this kids who don't know basketball. The common phrase, you don't know basketball. He's overrated.
I love that one.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it, man. Listen, man, we'll be okay. He's not overrated. He's 21. He's beasting this season. He'll work on his game. Give him some time. You see Julius imploding. Embrace RJ, man. We got to take
it. He's working it out the right way.
He's gonna work it out the right way. We got to embrace somebody, man. We got to embrace somebody. Riley's gonna get Donovan Mitchell. Nobody's coming here. Embrace RJ as our guy.
You're killing me.
To wrap this show up, that's how it's going down.